It's Dino time!
Hello everyone, this is Adam and welcome to the first of our many, hopefully, videos of me showing a little bit behind the scenes of the 2D style of the Dinodawgs. So I'm using a program here on an iPad called Procreate. So Procreate is the tool we used to build the original Dinodawgs, and a little bit of alpha here. You can see some of the original backgrounds that we made for the 2D collection. You can also see some of the original potential ideas for other characters that didn't make it. And right in the middle here, right in the middle, you'll see the original Dinodawg. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be diving into the existing collection, and I'm going to be either baronifying it or roverifying it. So we're going to show you how the factions are going to work and how I go about making those additional traits. So let's dive in with this file here. So this is just a random combination of traits, and in this series what I'm hoping to do is provide several videos where I basically go in and I work on different traits, and you can see how that style of illustration works and how the program works. So in Procreate I'm using an iPad Pro, just so you guys know. This is the 2017 model, I think. It is the 12.9 inch, so it's pretty huge. It looks like about the size of an A4 piece of paper, which makes it really easy for me to work on mentally. It's just like working on any sketch pad. I'm also using an Apple Pencil. And so you won't see that here, but it will. It's how I get a sort of much more natural line as opposed to drawing with my finger. Now, you don't need an iPad Pro to use Procreate. You can use any iPad, and that's the beauty of it. So anyone that does have an iPad, I do thoroughly encourage you to go and buy Procreate, and I would recommend getting an Apple Pencil if you're interested in doing any sort of illustration. So I'm going to open up layers here. Now you can see we've got the layers for all our traits. So let's dive in and start from the bottom and work up. I'm going to go down to the skin. I think for today we'll try making this guy baronified. So I'm going to go and select, this is a skinate, the purple panther spots. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this. And I do that by sliding the layer over to the right side, and I hit duplicate. Right, so I've now got a copy of that. I'm going to turn the original one off, and I'll just double click this and I'll rename it to Baron. Right, just so I know which one it is. So how would I go about baronifying this? Well, we kind of want to make it a little bit more evil, a little bit more sinister. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mess with the pattern. So I can zoom in by using two fingers, and I can pull them apart to zoom in on our image. And I'm going to hold one finger down on top of the dark purple color, and what that does is it samples the color. Then I'm going to go to my brush, and the brush I tend to use most of the time is this technical pen. I also quite like the studio pen, that's quite good. I will, if you double click it, you can change its effect here. So you can do a little test and see how that works. I have increased the stabilization here, which just sort of smooths out your line work a little bit. So we've got that turned on. We're going to dive in. And I've got my copy here, so it doesn't matter if I mess up what I've got because this is a duplicate layer. So as I zoom in, I've sampled the purple. I'm going to fix this little error here. Perfect. And I'm going to make this sort of more sinister by effectively making it sort of drip, right? And I'm going to give the illusion that this character is kind of, you know, a little bit, I'm going to say a little bit kind of rotten. A bit sort of, you know, maybe radioactive, or maybe he's just sprayed this on as a disguise. So the Baron, generally the Baron characters, you're going for something that makes them look evil. It's the idea of a good boy and bad boy. So I'm going to alter this design a little bit by making these drips. And we'll probably tweak the pattern as well a little bit. I might add some more spots and stuff. So I can draw a circular shape like this, and if I drag the purple color, it should fill it. Now in that case it's a little bit too much of an influence, so I can drag it to the left or the right and it causes it to have less influence. So I want it about there. But I actually don't want one there. So I'm going to drag it into this one and just patch that up. Okay, so this will be your slightly more sinister looking trait for the purple spots, for example. And I'm actually going to go and I'm just going to turn the helmet off because I want to make sure that whatever I do this for, it works for all combinations of traits. So just going to scroll up to where the helmet is. So there it is. Now let's turn that off. And I can go back in here and just make sure I'm drawing it all, because you know there are certainly you might have no accessory. I want to make sure this works for all combinations. So that's looking slightly more gross, which is what I'm after. I'm now going to tweak the tone of it because it's quite a light purple. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go down to a darker tone, and I'm going to just drag that onto the spots. Now it's currently an affected 1. Again, if I slide it to the other side, you'll see it affects a whole lot. So now I've made it a darker tone of purple, which is also what I want. And now I'm going to go to the lighter color purple, and again I'll do something similar. Let's see if I can get that to work. Now what that's done here is it's also affected the spaces in between, so I'm just quickly going to drop into those spaces. Right, so now I've got my first slightly more baronified skin. And again I'm going to zoom into the spots that I haven't done. Okay. Brill. That should be all of them. Okay. Right, so we've got our first baronified trait. I might just quickly fix this little error here. Very good. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a baronified eye. So let's scroll up to the cyborg eyeball. Here he is, eye 19. And we're going to duplicate that. And again, I'm just going to rename it Baron, just so I've got a record. Yep. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to select the black pen. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make this look more sinister. So he's got that kind of happy look up thing. Let's just see what happens if I start adding, you know, some slightly sort of meaner expressions. Should we do, yeah, that's working. Okay, so we're going to make an eyelid, I think. Right, so I've got that. I'm going to make, because this is a green eye, let's give it a green. So I'm going to go with a darker green. Let's give it a green eyelid, even though it's got purple skin. I'm just going to colour that in manually. And again, I will... Now, one of the things you can do in Procreate is that if you draw a circle and you hold it for a second, it sort of smooths that out. So what I might do here is just make my brush size a little smaller. And just do... There we go. That just gives my outline a little something extra. All right, and let's just see. Do I want to give him something else? I quite like that. I think what I'm going to do here is get rid of the... let's turn the lower one off. There we go. I'm going to delete this. And we'll make our brush size a bit smaller. And I'm going to delete the little sort of cute bit underneath. Okay, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the reverse for the, there we go. Let's just actually make that a bit thicker. Okay, cool. The other thing I want to do now is I'm going to add, again, a little bit more of a sinister edge. So let's make the brush size smaller again. And I'm going to sample this red in the middle here. And I'm going to increase that. So we're going to make his red eye bigger, and then again I'll go back to the black and we'll make that larger. Yep, great. And then I might also just come in and see if I can get like a slightly more yellow tone here, just for the middle. Yep, perfect. And I'm just going to come in and neaten this up at the bottom. Great. Okay. The last thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit more of this orange to the inside of the eyes as well. So let's just see what we can do here. So I think I will make a new layer. I'm going to make this smaller again. Right, now let's see what happens if we mess with the layer type here. So what we want to do is hit this N button, and we're going to see what happens if we can try, this is like Photoshop layers. So that's quite nice at screen. Color dodge is quite nice. Have a little play and see which of these, oh, there we go. Right, linear light's nice. It adds a sort of slight glow to it, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to leave that linear light, and then I'll probably just merge that down by clicking on the layer, and let's try and merge down. There we go. Right, now part of my barren eye. So we've got our slightly more evil eye, we've got our slightly more evil skin. Let's have a pass on the mouth. Right, where is the mouth? The other thing I'm going to do quickly, just as well, is I'll quickly go back to the background. You'll notice on our previous examples of our tiger, generally speaking, we're going to make the backgrounds for our baronified characters more sort of grungy. So I'm going to turn that on as well. So that's a layer I already made with a brush in here. So again, if I go to our brush settings, I can go down to, there should be a spray in here, might be airbrush. Where is the spray button? What way? Spray paints, here we go. And you can select stuff that will cause that type of effect, which is really cool. So, I mean, we might end up, if I go right down to the bottom, one of the fun things might be to actually make a copy of the background. Then I will sample that purple color. And what we could do as well is just add some little purple accents as well, which might be cool. Okay. So I'll leave that there. Right, the mouth, the rabies mouth. So this is the fun one. We are going to go to rabies mouth, and we're going to duplicate that, and we'll call it Baron again, just so I've got a record. I'll turn off the original. And this case, I'm going to give him bigger and dirtier teeth, and I'm probably going to increase the amount of sort of rabies effect. So, oh gosh, I'm still on the wrong brush. Right, I'll go back to inking. Is it inking? No, it was. Was it drawing? No, technical pen. There we go. Lovely. Right, let's select the white, and we're going to make this larger. Cool. And I'll do this on a few of them. Just going to draw right over it for now. Generally, I'll probably also look to make these like a bit sharper, just a little bit. And I might add a couple of extras as well. Right, okay. There. Well, doesn't matter that I'm going over the black line. I've still got the original. I can come back to that at any point. And now I'm going to just smoothly, and this is where you really want kind of like a steady hand. I can come in and there we go. Just redraw a lot of my line work here. Okay. So we've made his teeth a lot more horrific. In actual fact, there might be some tidy up to do here. Obviously, we don't want this kind of thing where the teeth are overlapping. So actually, what I might do here is just slim that one down a little bit, make it more fang-like, and let's just redraw that one. Oh. Again, I will often undo and redo several times till I get the sort of smooth, there we go, till I get the sort of smoothness I want. Okay, so we've done that. We're going to make them a little bit dirty now. So I'm going to add another layer on top, and I'm going to switch this up to a sort of brown, and I'm just going to draw, I'm going to be messy here basically. I'm going to draw roughly something to make them just that bit more grungy. And don't worry that you're going over the black, that's going to be fine. I say you because I'm sort of hoping that people are going to watch this and they're going to give this a go themselves. Okay. So we're just going to give this a grungy layer, and then I'm going to go to my layers, and again I'm going to hit the N button, And I'm going to switch this up probably to a darken or a multiply. Multiply is working nicely, and then I might just tone it down with opacity. So this meter here, it just lets me give it a little bit of dirt on that layer. So that's giving me my dirt, and then next I want to sort of increase, well, I want to increase the slime. So now, obviously, you can start to gauge that the baronified stuff is going to be much more excessive, whereas the roverified stuff, he probably won't, I'm not going with cute and cuddly, but he won't be as rabified, it won't be like full of rabies. It'll probably be more bubbles or something like that. So I'm going to go back to my original layer. And again, now I'm back on the layer, so I can't go over the black again. A little bit cavalier there. So I'm just going to increase the amount of goo we have coming out here. I mean, again, I probably could have made this easier for myself by doing it on a separate layer. And then I could have multiplied it so that the black came through. That was silly of me, actually. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have to neaten up my line work a little bit. Let's maybe add a little drip there. I might add some on the teeth as well. So I'm going to go back to the black. And I'm just going to neaten up bits where I've been a little bit messy. And I'm switching, you can see I rotate this around so that I can get the right angle as I work. Probably a bit confusing for you watching, I now realise. But there we go. Cool. Alright, so we've added a bit of that, and I want to add a little bit of this highlight as well. So just in a few spaces, let's make my pen brush size a bit bigger. Oh, not that big. So the Apple Pencil works on pressure sensitivity, so if I push harder, I will get a thicker mark. All right, so we've got more goo. Now let's add a bit more in the way of this sort of froth as well. So I'm probably going to push this to be a little more bubbly and a little, coming up a little bit more. We might also change some of these colours, which I will do shortly. Right, okay, that's looking pretty good for me. I'm going to go to the black again and go back to working on my line work. Oh, that last one was quite like leaving that as it is. Super, right, okay, so we've got that done. Now, what we're going to do now is potentially look at changing these tones. So let's select the purple, and I'm going to go for a slightly darker purple, and I'm going to drag it, and it's only doing that one area. So if I change the threshold at the top by sliding my finger to the left or right, it'll affect like all of that tone. So if I slide it all the way to the right, it's going to select, it's going to do almost all of it. So now I've got this more grimy, gritty, darker purple colour, which I think is good. And let's select the slime and do the same for that. Let's make this grosser. There we go. So he's the baronified one. It's sort of, he's going to be darker and grittier and generally more grimy. So there we have it. There's our first baronified set of traits. We've done a skin, an eye, a background, a mouth. Didn't do a collar this time, but come back for the next video and we'll look at doing a collar as well. And I think next time we'll focus on doing a roverified dino. So thanks for tuning in.